My most anticipated comic of 2009 is here. Yes, with a lot of hype as the epic return of Todd McFarlane, even though he kind of returned last year with Spawn number 185, whatever. Haunt debuts looking to impress. As a fan of McFarlane's Spawn and Kirkman's Invincible, I was very excited to read this issue. Does it blow me away, or is it a weak debut? Let's find out. Haunt number 1 is written by Robert Kirkman and Todd McFarlane, pencils by Ryan Ottley, layouts by Greg Capullo, colorist is FCO Placencia, I don't know, and with inks by Todd McFarlane. Now, despite how excited I was for this issue, I came in with the open mind that it could very well be a slow start. That's pretty much how a lot of comics open nowadays. They just set the groundwork, and that's it. But while this issue didn't blow me away, it was enjoyable. Now, our story basically introduces us to our main characters, Daniel and Kurt Kilgore. Daniel is a priest who sleeps with hookers and is all around a major asshole. Kurt is a CIA killer, but he has morals, and he's a pretty nice guy. I really love the dynamic between these two. Kirkman spares nothing in showing us that they do not like each other at all. Daniel is very much so hateful of Kurt, and the second they meet, you can tell there's a deep history of hatred between them. And I look forward to seeing what that is about. Kurt is captured, killed, and after his funeral, it turns out he's haunting Daniel. I hated this transition, and this was my major issue with the entire comic. It's very jarring how Kirkman jumps from spot to spot, and I'll cover that more in just a little moment. Now, Daniel is convinced that Kurt's just in part of his head, he's going crazy. But he listens to the ghost of his brother, and he goes to go protect his widow, Amanda. I actually quite liked this moment, because we can already tell there's some history between Amanda and Daniel. Though as to what it is, I don't know. Now, my favorite part of this entire comic is the final 3 pages. Spoiler alert here. Daniel is shot at, Kurt jumps into him, possesses him, and has this awesome transition into Haunt. Kicks the guys' asses, rips their heads off, and it's just an awesome finisher to get you really excited for the next issue. And all around, I enjoyed this issue. I can't deny there was a lot of bad and good. But all around, it was a really enjoyable issue. We got some solid character work, but really not much else also. Kirkman does well with what he can here, but for a first issue, you can only do so much. Now, the flashback where Kurt goes and rescues the people, it was a nice scene, gave us some cool action, but it was just enjoyable, have some hints, but at the same time, on its own, it was just okay. It did a good job of showing that Kurt is a fairly nice guy for being a killer, if that makes any sense. What little we did meet of the whole cast was fairly well done. Daniel is a jackass, but at the same time, he's at least interesting. Mildly. And having the idea of this killer with morals is really cool. Though, in the long run, try as I might, I just can't really say this was a great read. It was a good read. Very good. But not great. With some annoying transitions such as Daniel and Amanda talking to suddenly sleeping on the couch. See, she says, please, I need someone to stay here. Yeah, she's upset over Kurt dying. The next page, she's just sleeping on the couch. No, oh, fine. Or her going to bed and saying thank you. It's just him on the couch. And to be fair, Kirkman's had this problem in the past with Invincible. And it's really annoying, because he's a really good writer. So you'd think he wouldn't forget these little transitions of like a panel here or there saying, oh, they're going to bed, or oh, they're waking up. I mean, no, Daniel does not sleep with Amanda, by the way. It's just really annoying. And the transitions are just really jarring. It can really take you out of the story. Though, all in all, the character dynamic between the two brothers does at least go far. My only real problem with Daniel is he's fairly one-dimensional for the most part. He's interesting, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he seems just like a solid jackass. There doesn't seem to be any redeeming qualities to him, and I know this isn't always a rare way to start with a character, but I'm hopeful we find out at least something interesting about him in the future. Now, Kurt, I gotta say, I'm really interested to find out why he was killed, and there's this whole big mystery to it. But for a debut issue just giving us the first chapter in the mystery, it did a great job. Overall, the story was a good read, but nothing that made me go, wow, that was awesome. You know, aside from the final 3 pages. Those pages excited me and left me eager to read more. Exactly what any comic should do. So for all of its problems, it's still a solid story, and it's pretty well done. Now for the art. When I heard Ryan Ottley was going to be drawing this, I was really excited. Ottley does an amazing job over on Invincible if you haven't been reading that comic. And him on 2 comics a month, oh, that's the best. And then Capullo on layouts. Capullo is an awesome, very unique artist, and his style definitely shines with the layouts. You can definitely tell that he at the very least did the panel layouts. Though I have some major criticism for the art. About half the time it's pretty damn good. Well, not some great detail, really great coloring, and the emotion is conveyed nicely. The other half is just bad. While the layout design is nice, and pencil work by Otley is pretty good, the inking by McFarlane just really doesn't seem to work well. I really think some other inker should have been picked to do this, because McFarlane just doesn't mesh well with Otley. And now, I'm saying this with all the respect in the world to McFarlane, one of my heroes, but he should stick to inking artists who fit his style, like Will Sportaccio or Rob Liefeld or whatever. So, that's all I gotta say. Haunt number 1 is starting to something that could be great. It could be one of the best Image comics out there, along with Invincible and Jersey Gods. Now, with that said, I'm giving this a fairly strong recommendation. Even for all of its issues, McFarlane and Kirkman fans are gonna love it. There's a lot of dark, sinister stuff to read, and the art will hopefully get cleaned up sooner than later. All around making for a comic that I strongly recommend. Writing 3 out of 5, art 3 out of 5, overall 3 out of 5. Check it. I'm Andron. Adios.